To our group three. We're going to start with our solution-focused question phase, um, round robin style. Maurice, with you taking the lead with question one. Um, what would you like to ask Jerry, who is presenting tonight?
Jerry.
Maurice.
Hi.
Hi.
What are your best hopes for this group consultation?
A couple of things. Perhaps some nice suggestions for the situation I feel I'm encountering at my internship.
Okay.
And if, because the situation is somewhat restricted, if there really aren't any suggestions that are usable, at least the peace of mind of having expressed my situation, that would be helpful as well.
Now you said restrictive. What do you mean by restrictive?
By restrictive, I mean my placement. I have a placement at a chemical dependency treatment facility.
Okay.
It is very, very 12-step. There is no variation from that approach. And I've seen it work, and it can be a great approach for many people. In this case that I'm seeking your assistance on, this client, as I've seen with others, in my opinion, it may not be the best focus for this client, but I'm restricted in, I can't do anything else other than hand them 12-step paperwork. It's all about completing the paperwork of the 12 steps. And I'm not, my observations tell me with this client, it's only serving to frustrate at this point more than facilitate any kind of recovery.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry.
You're welcome.
What are your best hopes for this person and this situation?
My best hopes for this client are that he continues to maintain his sobriety, which I know he wants to do. My best hopes are also that either he finds some value and connection in what's offered at the facility, or that he finds what he connects with at another facility. But if he does leave, that there isn't a period where he leaves because he's frustrated and not feeling connected to the treatment approach, goes out and uses for a period of time, and then seeks treatment later. I'd like him to continue his sobriety.
Right.
But he's struggling right now.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
So Jerry, suppose that those best hopes are realized, what will be different?
Different for me?
Mm-hmm. Different for you.
A sense of relief. A sense of relief for the client. It's working with this population that I've come to feel so honored to be a part of their journey, their story, their healing. It would be amazing if the connection happened, the sobriety continues, and that the healing process that accompanies sobriety as part of the work done in recovery continues. That would just be awesome. It's what I wish for every person at the facility.
Mm-hmm. What else?
I would feel grateful that it worked in this case. I also, though, honestly, will still struggle with everybody's unique. If he has a turnaround, there may be a next person that doesn't, and that I may end up back in the same place as I feel now. And I think I'm getting a little off topic with your question, but the free-flowing analysis of these questions in and of itself is helpful.
Okay. And what will he notice? The client notice?
If I could speak for him, well, I'm gonna see it twofold. What the client would notice is that the client is feeling better physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. What the client would notice about me is that I'm feeling and presenting more at ease around his ease with the fact that the treatment is working. Right now, I think we're living this parallel existence of he's uneasy and I'm presenting in some ways uneasy about it because he's uneasy.
Okay. So what will others involved notice when the best hopes are realized?
Again, for the client, they'll notice that he's progressing in treatment, that when this works well, it can be magical. The people feel good, they look better, they start to, as I use these words, find themselves again and find interest in life again and have look forward to things and problem solve and can handle problems without better and not automatically feeling defeated, that he'll be living a true, what we might call normal life, in the sense of skills of daily living can be accomplished, not overwhelmed. What others at the facility will notice about me is similar to, on the level that the client would notice, is that I'm more at ease because the client's treatment is going well and he's progressing in his treatment.
Okay. Thank you, Jared.
You're welcome.
So, Jerry,
Hello.
here's the tough one. On a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 stands for meeting your goal and 1 stands for not meeting your goal, where would you say that you are now?
A 6.
And what tells you that you are at number 6?
What tells me I'm at that score? That that the client has been participatory up until now, and that he has started some of a certain portion of the work involved in treatment as it's presented, he has completed. Why it's a 6 is that there is this kind of a stop the presses right now. I need to think about what I'm doing here and why am I doing this, and I'm not sure the resistance that comes with that is what makes it a 6. It's a 6 because he's done some of the work.
Okay. And so what brought it up from a 5 to a 6, would you say?
Doing a little more, and it's beyond I keep talking about paperwork because there's a ton of it here in the process. But along with the paperwork, what also changed is the willingness that goes along with doing it, the kind of acceptance of I still maybe am not sure if this is for me, but I'm not going to give up on it or walk out on it or leave AMA treatment. I'm going to, even if it's just do one more question or fill in one more section of this form, I'm going to do it. Even if I don't really know why, or if I'm not sure I believe in what I'm doing.
So where would you like to be ideally on the scale?
Ideally a 10,
Yeah.
where, you know, he's doing it all and bought into it. And by bought into it, I mean that he finds intrinsic value in it, okay? And that he feels that this will help him. Ideally, I'd like to be there, but at this point, I would settle for like an 8, just something that's a little more tangible than that 6, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
An 8 might be, at an 8, it presents, a person at an 8 to me presents like, I'm not sure if I see value in all of this, but I see value in enough of it that I'm continuing without really having that stop the presses moment. Gonna go through it. I can talk through what I might not see value in, or might not understand why you're making me do this, and I can talk about it, but it's not stopping me. I'm going to keep going with it. And a 10 is I love this and I see value in it and I'm doing it for me.
Gotcha. So you kind of answered this question, what would be different in getting up to that next higher step on the scale? So is there anything else in addition to what you just said that the client might need to do to make it to that higher step?
No, I really think I did answer it there without knowing that. It's to me, from what I have observed at my internship, it is about that, the person seeing the value in it. Now, the value may come from, when I say intrinsic, there can be, and this is in addition to what I said, so it's expanding on the answer I gave, Shanna, okay? Intrinsic value can be more than, I totally believe this, I totally see this working for me, I love it, and I'm going with it. Intrinsic value can also be something like, you know, my wife said if I don't do this, she's going to leave me. That's enough intrinsic value that I'm not going to give up on this right now. Mm-hmm. My lawyer told me when I go back to court, if I've completed this program, it's going to look better for my case. That's an intrinsic motivator value, not quite the same as this is the thing for me, but it's also, it's a different type of value and motivator.
Gotcha. Well, thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Jerry, hi.
Maurice, again, hello.
It's me, you know. Hey.
Been a long time.
Oh, yeah, a couple questions later, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are you doing?
I'm talking to you.
Yeah, what are you already doing that is on track? Not with me, but with this guy.
That I have been listening to him, that we have connected, that I am someone he feels listens to him and that can respect his doubts about the treatment approach. I've noticed that others, not everyone, but there are people that work at the facility that totally, completely, without question, embrace the approach, and for anyone, in their opinion, to do well, they must embrace the approach totally. So if someone, with the example of this man, starts to question or do a, nah, I don't see, I'm not sure, why you got me doing this? There are others that will simply say, you need to do it. You need to do it. You need to do it. With some people, that will motivate them to continue, but not everyone. This client is an example of someone that I observed found that answer frustrating and wanted to talk about other approaches, but more often, more appropriately, I think, beyond that, just wanted to be heard. Somebody's got to hear me that I don't like this. Just stop telling me to do it. And I have been that person for him. I just would listen to him.
So you're like an ear instead of a pusher. Okay.
Yeah, I really can listen. I know I talk a lot, but I really can listen.
No, where you get that from? Why do you think that?
I get that from myself.
It sounds like to me that you're very trauma informed, and you use the principles well with this client. Could you elaborate or explain some of the things that you are doing that is trauma informed?
Sure. I'm going to talk about safety at a couple of levels. Mm-hmm. The facility is a secure facility, so physically everyone is in a safe place. But I also see, though, that I'm adding another level of safety there by allowing the client to express his doubts and his concerns without me either running to someone and saying he doesn't want to do the paperwork, and then getting ganged up on, not physically ganged up on, but the pressure from someone else of, you need to do the work, you need to do the work. I'm safe in that I've been allowing him a little time to process his feelings on this. And that is often, I'm calling it safety because that's how I see it. It's safety for his emotions and safety for his own self-autonomy, which is another trauma-informed, skill. I'm letting him decide how he wants to handle his life, this situation. So it's the safety is kind of interwoven into both of those levels. I could choose to just tell him or inform people that he doesn't want to do the paperwork, and then he just get the lecture about he needs to do it. And my gut tells me he just needs more time. So that's how I'm being trauma informed.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would say that makes you feel that you're on track? What else are you doing that's on track?
In conversation with him, or the way I interact with this client as well as clients in general, I can have one-on-one conversations with them. They're interspersed through group activities, so I don't see it as a real one-on-one session, what we might think of as a private session in an office with someone. I don't have that one-on-one with clients. However, I do facilitate group process groups, group therapy. So what is said in group stays in group. So that's a safe place for this client as well as anyone to express their reservations, hesitations, or joys about anything. So we have casual conversations in groups, like during social leisure time or exercise time, when we're with other people and staff. But in the group setting, we're in a closed room where it's definitely safe to express those thoughts. So that's something else that's being done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
What is the client already doing that is on track?
The client has managed to stay sober. The client has managed to seek treatment. The client is continuing to say he wants to remain sober. The client is looking forward to living a sober life and, to use his words, embracing things that he's left behind in his past and rediscovering them. So he's mentally and emotionally really connecting with healing. He's doing great.
What else do you think he's doing that's on track besides what you mentioned?
I think that I see it as right on track, that he's questioning the treatment approach. I don't see that as the negative. I want, if someone's saying, I don't know if this is for me, can't we do this or that? And if it's not allowed because it's very strict. There's some programs out there that are a little flexible with this, but this is a traditional. It's been around a long time. So it's, in some ways, I look at the facility as it's got a lot of success, and they're going to hold fast to what has worked for a very long time. And as I said, it works for a lot of people, so it's very relevant and valid. But I see it as a positive that he's asking questions of, are there other approaches that we can incorporate? Are there other things that we can do? He's looking to expand the way he's looking at his recovery.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So Jerry, what is the next small step?
The next small step will be the next time I see him, which is soon, seeing where he's at and gauging where he's at. Is he still tenuous about this? Is he deciding that this isn't for him and he doesn't like the approach? Or is he deciding because he's fully embracing it, or for any other reason that he sees enough value in it that he wants to continue in it? So the next step would be, the next time I see him, gauging where he's at, and he'll tell me where he's at.
So how will gauging where he's at be helpful?
It'll tell me what follows next after that. By that, I mean, it'll give me an indication if he's likely to leave again AMA, or if it's, no, he just sounds like he's still in a pattern of trying to figure it out and not sure, or if he's going to embrace this treatment and continue with it. But at least a decision, it'll keep him it'll help his sense of autonomy that he's making decisions about this, and that's huge. Even if he says, I don't know, but I don't want to leave, that's a decision.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And so, Jerry, is there anything else significant about the case that you haven't mentioned that you'd like to?
No, and yes. No, maybe about this specific client, but I will share that this has happened with other clients. So this is part of my experience at this facility. So my self-awareness is telling me that if I choose to continue working with this population beyond internship, I need to think about what facility I might want to work at, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And ask questions about the approach and the flexibility of the approach, and be thinking about what's going to be the best environment for me to be in, to be helping people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jerry. We're going to go ahead and move on to the wonderment phase. If you could just not turn off your camera, but just move out of the way of the camera.
Bye.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat ice cream.
Ice cream? I want some ice cream.
Do you want to go in the same order then? Or go from Maurice to Sarah to Hiral to Shanna Beth?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start. I have a couple of wonderments. I noticed that Jerry in the beginning had spoke about how his client might choose other resources, might quit the 12-step program and go elsewhere. But I wonder, can he change has he ever thought about changing his role as just a case manager or a group facilitator into a broker? Maybe he can broker this guy and link him up with other services instead of just saying, well, if the guy quit, he might find other service, he might not. But maybe he can actually do some research or talk to somebody and see if maybe he can broker this guy to fit another organization. Maybe this ain't fitting for him. Another wonderment I noticed at the end, Jerry was saying if he was going to go out and find an agency to work at after this internship, he would actually fill it out first. That's my impression, before he would actually engage in a job like this. I was wondering if maybe Jerry's feeling overwhelmed, or maybe he feels that this organization is not helpful for his clients.
Sarah?
I was wondering, I mean, I know Jerry said that it's a very strict program and that they stick to the 12 steps, but I wonder if any of the clients have ever gone to like the upper management or whoever's in charge of the program, just because I wonder if they'd be willing to shift a little bit, just with the idea of they might potentially be putting them at risk or jeopardizing them and their sobriety. So I wonder if they have any sort of other options, or maybe like two separate kinds of treatment programs, so that if one's not working, that they have another option, so they're kind of not just sent on their own and off to fend for themselves when really they could end up relapsing. So that's what I'm wondering.
That's a good wonderment, Sarah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Sarah?
So I wonder if this agency knows the level of commitment that Jerry has with agencies, specifically with this client. I think he mentioned other clients. He mentioned not giving up or walking away, which shows that he's very committed. I also, like Maurice and Sarah, wonder if there's an alternative program. So instead of the 12 steps, if there's a withdrawal management or some kind of sobriety management program that might be better suited for this client. I also wonder if Jerry's able to connect with his supervisor or even above that, a director, just to look at different options for programming at the agency.
Yeah, so I have a couple wonderments as well. I was wondering if anything has changed since the last time Jerry did this presentation for the class. If he's noticed any differences in his client. And then I was also wondering if he's been able to maybe look at any past clients who might not have agreed with the approach and noticed whether or not they were able to go on with it, even if they didn't agree with it, and if so, maybe what helped them get through that. And then in terms of the alternative options, I also wonder how viable alternative options to this 12-step program really are, like as a whole, really, not just in that organization, but if he were to try to find another program, like how easy would it be able to find something different?
Great, thank you all for your wonderment. Jerry, you can come back.
I think he's still getting ice cream. Oh, there you go.
So what kind of ice cream is it?
Chocolate chip.
Okay.
My favorite.
Chocolate.
So same thing, Maurice, want to start with you, then Sarah, Hiral, and Shanabeth to talk about what kind of compliments we might have for Jerry, myself included. I think Jerry explained the case extremely well, and I think all of the wonderments too were good.
Jerry, it's admirable that you actually engage yourself with this client as deeply as you do. It's a testament to your empathy. There's a lot of non-empathetic people out here. The fact that you are diligent in your diagnosis and your attention to the client is very impressive, because it takes a lot of energy, I would say. And it seems like you're exerting a lot of your energy and you really do care for this client. And I salute you for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that you're able to respect the facility that you're working in and the way that they treat people, but you're also able to gain respect from the client that you're working with, and that even if maybe the both of you don't agree with the way the system works for him, that you're still trying to find a way to make it work, whether it's in your program or not, that you're looking at other things and trying to make him successful, whether or not it's with you and your program. But I think that that's really important as a social worker, to find something that's going to work for the client. So I'm very impressed by that.
Thank you.
So I'm impressed at your level of commitment to this client, and the fact that you're hanging on at an agency, even though you have a difference in the way they do things. I also think that you are using the trauma-informed principles very well, especially with respect to empowerment and giving the client the choice, right? You're really allowing the client to choose, which in many 12-step programs, that's not the case. But you're really, and I can see you're really struggling with this, which again shows your level of commitment. This client is very lucky to have you as a worker, I have to say.
Thank you.
And Jerry, I just want to add that I think you're doing a great job. Sorry, Shanabeth, I forgot you were going next. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just thought I really appreciate how thoughtful Jerry is about all of this. You can tell that he really gives it a lot of thought and consideration from many different angles. And I also just really appreciate your attitude, Jerry. You always make me smile, and I feel like you bring this sense of warm spiritedness to the group, and I really appreciate that. And I also really like that you considered it a strength of the client to question the system. And that's cool.
Thank you.
And I'll just piggyback on what Shanabeth just said too, because I was just also going to add that I really liked the way you reframed the trauma-informed, that this the way you saw safety.
Oh, thank you.
And now to debrief, how do you feel that went for you today, Jerry, discussing this, presenting your case?
It went well, and it's you know, I had the blessing of being able to think about last time too. So it's made me even clearer on the situation, and my feelings about this treatment approach and how to help clients having difficulty with this treatment approach, how to give them space and to give them time to make the decision if it's what they want. This has helped me greatly in that process, that I can set aside the kind of automatic process that exists there of, well, it's this day, they should be on this paperwork, it's this day, this paperwork, and just kind of ignore that a bit to give people time and autonomy.
And the group, how do you feel that Jerry presenting his case? Did you learn anything new?
Jerry, well, I did. I realized we're a couple groups in now, and I realized that I thought I had to. My internship has multiple problems, and I thought I was alone in regard to that. But I realized that there's a lot of work that needs to be done in every facility, regardless where we at and what placement we're in. And I realized today, listening to Jerry and understanding the bureaucracy in some of these agencies, and know that there's other solutions that need to be made for all agencies, coming from client solution focus. And it makes me approach my situation a little differently, because I understand now that I'm not alone. So it's always a struggle. We all got to fight. So.
For myself, what worked for me is also along the lines of the support, even just from this group. Because I know in my position, in my internship, I'm like the only person. So it's nice to have a group that we can bounce ideas off of and get other angles and things like that. So I think that works really well.
We're here for you, Sarah.
Thanks.
I think similar to what Sarah said, I think it's nice to be able to bounce off ideas. I think the other part is, I mean, we're so fresh and new going into these placements. I mean, some of us have been working for many years, but like with an MSW lens, it's very different, and it's a highly bureaucratic system, right? And you have to go through a lot of red tape, which can be frustrating. But the support of peers and, you know, hopefully a good supervisor makes a difference. It's just, this is eye-opening, just listening to everybody's cases, and Jerry's case in particular is very interesting.
Okay, if nobody else has anything they want to add, then I guess we will close here.
I will stop the recording.
Thank you, Jerry.